This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Boobies!
Hi,
Hello, and welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we are here to talk to you about
About
X.
X. Can't see what I just did, but I just put my two forearms together to make an
Like
X.
you're an X-Men.
Like an X-Men. Do-do-do-do.
Beautiful.
Do-do-do-do. Something like that. But yes, X. 2022 film, written and directed and produced and edited. Shoo, that's a lot of things. By Ty West.
Hi,
And
West.
it stars a few people we've seen here recently in some horror movies, like Mia Goth and Jenna Ortega,
Brittany
um,
Snow.
Brittany Snow. We've
Kid
got
Cudi.
Kid Cudi. Yeah, yeah.
And
Uh,
it said Karen Gillan was in it, but who does she play?
oh, I didn't know. I
I
don't
didn't
remember
see
seeing
her in
her.
there at all. Yeah.
Really.
She was
And
listed on the cast,
oh, it must have been.
but it
Trying to
doesn't
think.
have anything under her name.
Yeah, that's weird. I see what
I
you
wonder
mean.
if she played Pearl.
No, she didn't play Pearl because Mia Goth played Pearl.
Mia Goth played Pearl herself and Maxine?
Yes.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. That's weird. Yeah, I wonder why she's listed there.
yeah, I don't know.
That is weird. Well, you guys, that is a mystery for another day. We'll bring it back to you on the next one. But yes, we have a pretty good ensemble, and we are essentially following a group of people who are
We're making
d-
an adult film,
yes. We're making
X-rated movie.
We are making an X-rated film, and yeah, basically just following what happens when you become a sinner and you do what the
Mm,
devil
You're a
tells you to do.
sinner.
I'm just kidding. When you dance with the devil, what do you get, Caitlin?
Death. Murder.
Immediately psychotic breakdowns. Wait, kind of
Kind
from
of.
Pearl. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, essentially, she's having a
I'd
pretty big
say,
meltdown over not getting fucked.
yeah. I'd say she definitely was Meltdown-esque right after killing RJ. Whenever
Mhm.
she's just dancing over his corpse. That's very Meltdowny.
Oh yeah, she's really feeling herself in that moment. But I guess we'll just dive right into it, right? You want to
Yeah.
go into it raw, no lube?
That's exactly how this film should be gone into.
We start off with this movie plays a lot of homage to like the slasher films from the 70s.
Yeah,
Um,
it gave me
and
major Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes.
especially with this opening, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
which we
on the
have the
farm
copperonis.
with cicadas going, no music, just the sound of, well, the music of cicadas.
They are the music of life.
Hi, Kira. Look at her
Oh.
little head.
So
She's just right
someone's
there.
driving by, so she's just checking the parameter.
She's like, who
She's
the
she
fuck's here?
said she said we good. She just sat right back down and laid down.
I love it. She's funny. Um, but yeah, we got the police cars rolling up and there's dead bodies everywhere.
Dead bodies.
We don't get to like actually see any of the dead bodies, so we can't like
Ah,
know who's who, but you
yeah.
can take mark of like where they are.
Hmm.
Cause then I was like, okay, I guess we're starting at the end. I wasn't 100% sure until
Hmm.
I saw the dead bodies, and then I was like, okay, we must be starting at the end.
At a point in
Um,
time that things have already happened.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
was trying to take note of where each body was, so that way when they died, I could be like, "Oh, that's who that was." and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And I was trying to figure out for the longest time who in the hell's
Was it the
was
basement?
that, and from well, yeah, who was in the basement,
Oh,
but then also who was on the front lawn because I was like, oh, I thought it was Lorraine, but then they dragged her body inside, and I was like, who the hell's that? And then at the last
was the
second,
two?
we get
Oh, yeah, yeah, you know whose it is.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
but
Um. But yeah,
there's bodies everywhere.
bodies,
Let
bodies,
the
bodies.
bodies hit the floor.
And the movie is also set in 1979 as well, just so everybody can know. So we are
Real
definitely,
big. They tell us that later.
yeah, yeah,
Big
yeah, yeah.
in like what is it called? Diegesis?
The diegesis, yes.
This movie liked diegesis at first.
Well, there's a lot of yeah, it really did, and every movie has diegesis, but this one was kind of heavy on it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there was um like things placed to foreshadow how people were either going to die or just kind of like punny things, I guess, like innuendos.
Mm. Mhm.
Which I don't actually know if that is considered digest. Actually, now that I think about it, but there's a lot of other things too that are on there, which is basically stuff that is just like it helps to um give us the audience information that's not necessarily from the universe of the actual people,
Yeah.
or like what they're saying. But yeah, I really like that it's set back in the day because I like really it's one really believable because it's got all the vibes to it.
Yeah.
The way that they shot it, like the characters, everybody's
Yeah, it was slightly like grainy. It was,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
especially their footage on the what 8 millimeter or whatever film that was.
Yeah, it really helped to give the effect of taking you back in the day. But after the cops are, looking around the premises and we're seeing all these bodies everywhere.
We've
Uh,
got an evangelical on the
mhm.
TV going and preaching the gospel and saying stuff about murder and sin and sexual deviance and stuff like that.
Yeah, just your run of the mill, Sunday service.
Yeah.
And we are also going into the basement because one of the cops, the deputies, I guess, is telling, I guess the main guy's the sheriff or the chief or something. Um,
Yeah.
or I guess they're all sheriffs. I don't know. But telling the main
They
dude,
called him
hey,
sheriff.
sheriff, right? You
Yeah.
gotta come see this. You gotta come see what's down here. And so we go down there and have what do we have, Caitlin?
Nothing. It doesn't show you. It
Yeah.
just says it just we just get a shot of the sheriff saying, "My God,"
Hmm.
but we can't see what it is. It
So it's I'm assuming is the dude who was strung up?
yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
guessing. Which I was like, that was honestly a little bit of a letdown. I was expecting like blood written on the walls and like hearts
Something really,
stabbed into the
really,
wall, something really gruesome.
yeah.
Not that that wasn't gruesome, but I was expecting more.
Mhm, mhm. But we don't get that. What we cut to is to someone using drugs
Doing cocaine,
really abruptly too, right on the screen. She's taking a line.
and you're getting haunting like vocals that
Mhm.
make appearances throughout the entire film.
How did you
Um,
feel about those vocals?
I liked them.
I did
I
too.
thought they were good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought it really
Is that
added.
Theo?
Yes, Theo is being I can't. I don't know where he's at
I don't know where he
now.
went now, but he
Anyways,
was right next to
he
you,
wants to
just
go
looking at us.
outside, but he's already been outside. He
Oh,
just wants to go yap at things.
frolic.
That too, but mostly yap. He's a good yapper. He likes to bark.
He's a
He
big
likes the
dog.
sound of his I think he thinks he's singing.
Row, row, row.
Not like that. It's a
Not like that.
lot more. It's got some bass.
Row.
Um yeah. Uh-huh.
Suki.
Row.
Ruh-roh.
And we are snorting cocaine. We are 24 hours earlier. This is
As
diegesis
he
because
tells us.
it tells us on the screen that we are 24 hours earlier before the theater batata, all the shit that we saw. Oh, I see the ear. She's so cute.
Yeah, she's coming over to fuck things up again. Get down.
As one does. And we are in the whatchamacallit, the back stage, backstage at the titty oh, the titty
Burlesque
bar
house.
burlesque show. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Bayou
And she's
burlesque.
in Bayou Burlesque in Houston, Texas. Because we get later on in just a second that we're in Houston.
Yeah.
But we open with who we later learn is Maxine, um, sitting there looking, and Wayne comes in, who we also later learn is Wayne, and
Mm-hmm.
they like make out, and then she just looks in the mirror and is like, "You're a fucking sex symbol,"
Yeah.
and she
Which
delivered that line really
honestly,
well.
I think we should all wake up every morning and tell ourselves that because it's really
Yeah.
motivating.
Well, and so is the her line, "I will not accept the life I don't deserve."
That's good. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I was like,
all minus
"Damn."
the cocaine. But I feel like the biggest probably motivation she has right now is the cocaine. But definitely some
Yeah.
good um
She does a lot
mantras
of
to live
coke.
by. Yeah, she
Yeah.
has to re up. Well, it's because I'm also I'm in a film class, but I'm also in a drugs and behavioral psychology class. So, cocaine is a stimulant, and it's a what it does is it hooks on to the neurotransmitters that go onto your GABAs. It's a longer word or something like that. And it basically blocks you from releasing the dopamine. So you feel dopamine and you get this really big hit of it. And then that's why you want more and more and more because it's just like a really strong, like, whoosh, and your body loves dopamine and it craves it. It's an addiction. Hmm.
Hmm,
But
interesting.
we are meeting Wayne and he's talking to her, of course, right? And they're basically leaving the Bayou Burlesque and going on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, and this is
Hmm.
where we get the Houston, Texas as they're walking out, and then a real big 1979
Hmm.
across the whole screen. So they've just set the scene for us, even though we're about to leave Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
Um, but
But still be in
they,
Texas.
yeah, they still set the scene. I liked how the van said plowing service.
Hmm. Which
I
is
thought that was
another
funny.
innuendo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Um,
like,
it's pretty funny and pretty it's I feel like it's cheeky, you know?
yeah,
And we end up meeting also uh, our other characters in the film, Bobby Lynn, who is played by Brittany Snow. Then we have
yes.
Jackson, who's played by Kid Cudi, and we have RJ, who is played by the who's he? What's
I
his
don't
name?
know.
Soup soup soup
Uh,
soup soup. I got it. It's Owen Campbell. Owen Campbell.
Owen
But
Campbell.
oh, and then of course we can't leave out Jenna Ortega because I feel like that's what everybody. I mean, I feel like everybody is like, n- like okay. I was telling somebody about X, and they're like, oh yeah, the film with Jenna Ortega in it, and then like I feel like a lot of people think like she's the main girl, and it's like she's not even the main girl.
Yeah, she's not. I was
She's a supporting
expecting
character.
her to be a little bit bigger
Mm,
role,
mm-hmm.
and then yeah, because I didn't know much about this film other than like I looked up um the trailer and
Mm-hmm.
watched the trailer first, but I didn't know much about the film in general. And so it was I just saw Jenna Ortega's name was in it and was like, "Oh, she's probably one of the bigger stars out of this whole film, probably the
Mm-hmm.
biggest one currently."
Yeah.
Brittany Snow
Oh
was
yeah.
really big for a while.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I feel she's definitely on that wave of like I feel like every few like years there's a new it girl. You know what I mean? It was Emma
Yeah,
Stone, and then it was Jennifer Lawrence,
Jennifer Lawrence.
and then it was some other girl, and now it was that one girl from Hot Minute, Anna Taylor Joy
Oh,
with
Anna
the big
Taylor
eyes.
Lovejoy or Joy.
Anna
Yeah.
Taylor Joy. Is there love in there?
I don't know. I thought her name had love in it.
No, I don't think so.
Hmm.
Um, and now it's Jenna. But anyways, we are talking about the movie that they're going to be making called The Farmer's Daughter.
Yes.
Um, and Bobby Lynn is talking about how she wants her American dream, and she's asking, Maxine what her American dream is. Well, before she's saying, before she asks her and she's telling her hers is basically, she just wants to make enough money to get a big house so she can have a pool and she can tan her boobies.
Yeah.
Boobies.
Boobies. Also, I love the cuts that are happening at the beginning of the film, and I kind of wish that they would have continued throughout the film, but with that little line that goes across the screen,
Hmm. Like a wipe.
we yeah, we had a lot
Hmm.
of that at the beginning, but not
It
so
gets
much throughout
lost.
the entirety of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they
I
had a
kind of
really
feel
good
like
idea, and then they forgot about it.
I feel like there were a bunch of like stylistic shots like that throughout the first half of the film, and then when like it kind of
Mhm.
takes its whatever, it's just kind of like it doesn't really do
You gotta
anything like
tell the
that anymore.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but oh
But
well.
continue on. Where she asked Maxine what her American dream, and I actually really do like that it like cuts away before we get an answer from her.
Mhm.
And we're just kind of like, okay, all right. Well, I think it's like one of those like because it's if you take out the American from it, it's like one of those questions. Like if you get asked, you're kind of like, I don't know, what is my dream? Like what is it? I don't know. It's a big
Yeah.
question. Yeah. 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 But we have us getting to a gas station, which is kind of like one of those it's very familiar again to like, Texas Chainsaw and a bunch of other scary movies, like Wrong Turn and a bunch of other things. And we are getting more conversation between Miss Maxine and Wayne in the gas station grocery store. Yeah. Tell us what you're talking about.
Yeah. She's explaining basically how she wants to be famous. She wants the whole world to know her name, and she's got cosmopolitan tastes, and
Mhm.
that not she's not suited for a life that she doesn't get the things that she wants.
It sounds like a Lana Del Rey song,
Yeah.
like vibes.
It does. Um, and yeah, there she's basically just going on about that. And then we flash to outside and they're getting some shots of,
Mhm.
Jackson pumping gas. And Brittany's like, if you tilt that down, it'll look like he's using his cock for
Yeah,
it and stuff. Sorry,
giving some
Bobby Lynn.
pointers.
Yeah.
Bobby Lynn, yeah.
Um, And then I love the little dialogue that happened between Bobby Lynn and Lorraine whenever Bobby Lynn asks Lorraine, do you always help him with the films? And she goes, sometimes, yeah. And then she goes, is that your boyfriend? Lorraine asks Bobby Lynn, and she goes,
Mhm.
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was funny
I
too.
loved that. Yeah. I was
It's
like,
the
that's really cute.
it's the dichotomy between the really two opposite types of people,
Yeah. We've got the nice,
interacting with
sweet
each other.
girl and then the vixen.
Yeah, uh-huh. Someone who's really like secure and really like free with her sexuality and her um kind of going after what she wants. Where you have
Yeah.
Lorraine is like very, like you said, kind of the more
Prim
sheltered
and proper.
type of character. And we have I also like how we got a mention of like this is kind of setting up between Wayne and Maxine in the shop about how like he wants to jump on the success of like Debbie Does Dallas, which is like a pornographic film, but essentially is setting up like what we're getting into the rest of the film, um because I mean it's not like I mean we're already kind of talking about it, right? But it really sets it up because if you weren't to have all that setting it up and then they just start like doing stuff, it'd probably be
Yeah.
really like, whoa, okay, where are we going? Where'd that come from? Um, because there's almost like if they were to not kind of say stuff about it so specifically, or I guess all the heavy sexual innuendos, like we could have gotten to a point where it could have gotten there and then it would have been like, this is what we were here for, but we would never have known about that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if that would have even been like a good surprise or a big like twist, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, that's anyways. We're talking about or we're getting back in the car, right? And then we're leaving and now we're driving and this is where we see like
The
blood
poor
and blood.
cow.
Yeah, the cow. I was like, I write blood and guts for some reason. That poor cow had his whole tongue out.
Yeah, his little tongue
Yeah.
was
Is that
sticking
how they
out.
die like that?
I guess when you get
I felt like
smacked
that
by
was
an 18
dramatized.
wheeler, yeah, cow
I
was
don't know.
acted.
It was sad for its life. And so yeah,
I wrote
and I
that the
don't know,
cow
is
was the
that
harbinger of death.
okay? I was about to say that
The
works out.
cow,
I was about to say,
yeah,
did you think that was a sign of what's to
yeah,
come?
I did. The cow was the harbinger. It was like, turn back now, nothing good can happen. Blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah,
This
blah, with
reminds me
his
of
little tongue.
Ed and Eddie. Um, we have them going by that and arriving to the property of where they're supposed to be staying.
And we
And
got those haunting vocals happening again.
yeah. And it's very Texas. Like we live in Texas. I'm like, "Oh, this looks very Texas."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if that
Yeah,
makes
when you're out
sense.
and driving past in those small
In
towns
those
and you're just
mhm.
backwoods,
Yeah.
and
I've been to
I
those
don't know if that was
places or
okay to say.
like for like estate sale,
Yeah.
you know? Or like stuff like that. Like that's what it yeah, I was like, "Oh, it's creepy too because when things are so secluded like that, like people could do anything out there. Get away
Mhm.
with it." Um we have at the door Wayne gets off and goes to the front door to greet the owners, and we have Howard. I was blanked on his name for a second. Howard popping up, and at first, he pops up with his gun because he's like kind of uh, defensive, overly defensive, right out the gate, and is just kind of like, what are you
Yeah.
doing on my property? Which I feel kind of like any old person would be, I guess, in Texas, especially in the country, and
Mm.
um,
And he doesn't
he,
remember that they spoke.
yeah,
Basically, it
yeah,
seems like, because Wayne has to tell him like 3 times, like, "We spoke on the phone on Tuesday," and, Howard's just like, "Nah," and has the
yeah.
gun pointed at him, and it was like I was like, "Ooh." He comes out the door with it
That's
too, and I
scary.
was like, "Geez Louise, he ain't messing around."
Well, and especially
But
shotguns that close, like, yeah, you're
mhm,
shreds. You're shredded.
you're dead. No
Hmm.
way you're surviving that, yeah. And then basically he's like, "We spoke on the phone last Tuesday," and Howard's like, "Oh, right, I guess we did." And then he's like, "Yeah, yeah, we did."
I'm dead, brother.
Um,
Can you put the gun down, please?
and so he does, and he says, "The gun ain't even loaded. It's just for show." You'd be surprised at how far you can get just waving it around,
That's all you
kinda
got to
thing.
do. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is
and
just wild, honestly.
it is.
Yeah, but it is
But
true.
yeah, I mean, at the moment,
Just the gun itself.
I would be hesitant.
I would probably like if I don't have an yeah. I just don't like guns. We know that I don't like guns. They're
Yeah,
so
same.
scary. Please stop using them,
Guns,
people. Please just
yeah,
please use knives and scissors and like swords. Let's resort to things that we can like
run
see
away
and
from.
stuff, and yeah, and not like shoot from afar. Because honestly, that's an easy out. Like challenge yourself a bit more. Let's get more creative, right? If
Let's
we're gonna
also just
kill.
not kill people.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but there's a big if. There's a big if you're going to. I mean, you shouldn't ever because I don't think killing is good at all. I don't think we have the authority to take other people's lives, no matter what they do.
We're not
Um,
God.
exactly. Um, she is in full control of that. Anyways, we are getting him kind of calmed down a little bit, and Maxine and the rest of the gang are in the car, and they're just like, "Oh, something's going on," and
And
she
they're like,
then
"That is one ugly son of a
oh, yeah,
bitch."
that's true. And because he is actually
He
portrayed by an actor
is.
who is, like, in his 60s, and they put prosthetics on him to age him up even more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah, because he
assume
definitely
that.
was like over exaggerated old. Like, because
Yeah,
real old person, I feel like would not be able to work,
yeah,
show up to a set and film this. But
and especially have a sex
the
scene on top
sexy
of it.
scene, yeah, he was, but he is 62 years. I think 62 is what I heard. I mean,
That's still
it's a limber
spry.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, we have
basically
Maxine.
Howard's.
Does she reach for a gun? Right?
Yeah,
Just yeah.
we see. I think we see the gun in the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
glove
in the
box,
glove box.
so we
Okay,
know
gotcha.
that it's there. But then we have Howard taking them kind of on the tour over to the little bungalow, little
Mhm.
cabin that they're going to stay in.
Yeah.
And they get in there and they're just, all kind of piling in. And he asks the random question of, like, did you ever serve in the war kind of thing? And he's like,
Yeah.
I got flat feet. But then Jackson speaks up and says, I did 2 tours in Vietnam kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
Was it
Yeah.
Vietnam?
It was Vietnam.
Okay. I was like, I didn't actually write this down. I'm just
Yeah,
going
yeah,
based
yeah.
off my memory.
No, you're good. It was
Um,
Vietnam, and it makes sense because of the time period. Because this is '79. Vietnam was just a few years before that.
mm, and
Mhm.
then he basically Howard just goes, I don't like the looks of you. I don't. In
Mhm.
fact, I don't like the looks of none of y'all. And then he's
What
like,
a
and
way
my
to
wife
talk
is
to
next
people.
door. I know, yeah, just flat out. He was just like, yeah, I don't like you. I don't like none of y'all. No thanks.
I strive to
Um,
have the authenticity of Howard
yeah,
and the confidence of Bobby Lynn.
for real. And but then basically this is where we get the first mention of his wife. And he says, my wife is next door, so try to be discreet. Uh
Mhm. Which
almost
also the
as
word
if he
discreet.
knows what
Yeah.
they're up to by
Yeah.
using that word discreet.
Bunch of fornicators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
Um,
horny teenagers.
Horny
Or
bonbons.
these are adults,
These are
but
adults, yeah, but it's even more so. I feel like I don't know. And so we are now after Howard has his his talking to them and stuff, and he's kind of a little weird and stuff, and even he starts checking out Maxine, and then Wayne does this thing of like, "What you doing? Checking out my girl? Be careful there," and kind of makes it even more awkward and weird and kind
yeah,
of rigid between the gang and Howard. And then after that, Howard fucking leaves and they start to get to the business.
fornicating,
Yeah, we have them
titties
basically. Well,
out. That's what I
even Wayne,
wrote.
I think he's like, we need to get to what the people came to see or something like that. Let's get to the fucking.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
Lorraine at one point was like, "He doesn't know what we're doing, does he?" And then Wayne was like, "It's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission." And then it was like, cut titties out,
Titty, titty, bitty, bitty. Yeah,
and
titty
they're
bang.
just we've got Bobby Lynn and Jackson fucking,
Yeah,
um, and they're going at
and
it,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Wow, this is porn."
Yeah,
Even though I
they're making
knew
it.
that's what they were making. I was like,
It's
"Oh,
pretty.
okay."
It's very much soft porn because it's
Yeah,
essentially porn. Just they're not actually doing it. And there's a bit more taste to it because they're not showing you actual penetration
genitalia.
stuff. But it's really weird though how like why is it? We've had this discussion many times that
Mm.
I don't understand why it's so okay for boobs to be shown, but you can't show a penis.
Well,
Like
they
I'm
showed a
just
penis,
well, they showed a
dead
out like
penis.
that on the dead guy, and then they kind of showed like a silhouette outline on Kid Cudi, but
Yeah,
but
if he's actually, I wrote, Jesus Christ, that was a horse penis between his legs.
I don't feel like it could have been like that. Just doesn't even seem like. I mean, I guess some of them are that big, but I feel like it was prosthetic because it just looked like
Obnoxiously large.
obnoxiously large. Yes.
Like, I wouldn't want that near me. I'd be like,
um,
"That's gonna hurt."
Like, how is that even gonna work? Yeah, where does it go?
Yeah.
And so I just yeah, it's just weird that it's so weird to me that it's I mean it's literally basically porn because she's got her boobies out, but we can put it on a screen because there's no penis. So that's all fine. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But anyways, we get to all that, but at the same time that that's happening, I guess because it's not Maxine's scene, she's off, doing her own thing. She's decided to take all of her clothes off and go skinny dipping in the lake that she has no idea what's in the water.
Well, the duck may swim on the lake, but my daddy owns the lake.
I just that's
Um,
so I mean, it's just like, yeah, yeah.
I wrote I couldn't get past the fact that she was wearing denim on open boobs like
Oh,
that. I was like, God,
oh,
my
the
nipples would be
chafing.
chafing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
that
I know
would
you don't free ball
hurt.
on like jean denim. Like that's just
Yeah,
not yeah.
ouchie. But yeah, she's out
Um
exploring. She finds a lake and she's like, dips her feet in at first, and then you can
ah,
see someone in the woods behind her.
yeah,
And
with
I
the
was
like
like,
that Einstein hair.
wild white hair. Yeah. And
I
I was like, oh, it was creepy.
yeah, it's a little creepy, and of course we have like the tone of like the overarching soundtrack over to like kind of add to the ambiance of like oh, and she obviously doesn't know that Squirrel is behind her watching her and snooping on her.
Yeah.
And also I get that I would want to get in the water, but like maybe dip your feet in, maybe stay right there next to the dock. She swims so far out into the middle of the
She
lake.
does.
Like
Yeah.
it's just so far out, man. It's like and so it's you're already kind of even before we see like an alligator or crocodile, whatever it is, you're already getting like this like eerie suspense building up, like, oh, something's about to happen.
Yeah, it
You
was
really
reminding
do
me of
feel
Friday the 13th.
yeah, I really thought like, okay, oh, and
Jason's gonna pop out of the water and grab her.
I was watching the movie with Nancy, Jazz, and Maria, and can you imagine? But anyways, and there was a child in the room.
Yeah.
But and she's not a child, she's a teenager. But anyways, they all were like, "Oh my god!" Like I've already seen it, right? So they're like, "Oh, she's about to die! Like she's gonna be the first one out, man. She's about to die." And I'm like, "Oh, just wait, just wait." And they really built it up good because when she's coming back and we start to see that crocodile, coming after her. And really slowly, and then just before, I really actually like the aerial shot too. I thought that was so cool.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I wrote that shot was really awesome. I
And
I loved that shot.
that crocodile, even though I'm sure it was fake, was massive. It was so huge. Or
Yeah.
alligator. I'm pretty sure it's an alligator. Crocodiles, I think, are only in the Nile. Crocodile Nile. Yeah. But
They kept calling
um,
it a crocodile, I think,
did they?
in the film.
Oh, okay. If it could have been. So
I can never
she.
remember which is which. I wrote
Ah,
crocodile because I think they said crocodile,
mhm.
but
She ends up thankfully making it, getting right out of the water just in time to
narrowly
not get
avoids it.
snatched, and then she doesn't notice that, she was being watched as well by Pearl. But we end up, then going to, are we at another sex scene? Is this what we're inside doing?
Yeah, because
Oh, and
all
like
the whole
the
while it was flipping back and forth between
yeah,
her
yeah, yeah.
going skinny dipping and then, like, them talking about how this is gonna be the next, like, cinematic masterpiece, basically, and how this is better than just a regular porno because he's treating it like true cinema,
Mhm.
and
Because we have, like, the scene of not Brittany, Bobby Lynn and Jackson, and they're like, "Oh, my van broke down. Do you wanna come inside?" Like, it's very, like, the narration
yeah,
of,
yeah.
I guess, what porn is now today.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and they're, um after yeah, it's shooting flipping back and forth between all that, and then it's after she narrowly avoids the crocodile, it's the beginning of the porno. Basically,
Mhm.
him coming in and saying, like, "My van broke down and I need a telephone," and she's like, "Well, we don't have a telephone, but I daddy will be home soon and he can give you a lift," kinda
Mhm.
thing, and,
Is daddy gonna
uh
fuck you? I'm just kidding.
yeah, everyone apparently is in this film.
Yeah.
Um, but also, I was so in awe of her eyeshadow and how it stayed on after she got in the water like that. I was
Mhm.
like, "She's got some intense blue eyeshadow on."
Yeah, for the
That
70s.
yeah. My grandma always wore blue eyeshadow,
Oh, really?
or still wears blue eyeshadow.
Mhm.
She's not dead.
Mhm.
But, yeah, but I don't know if she still wears blue eyeshadow. I haven't seen her in years, but
Mhm.
she always wore blue eyeshadow growing up. And so every time I put blue eyeshadow on, I think of her, and it made me think of her while watching
You
this too.
you do it in honor of her, even though she's
Yeah,
alive. Homage? I don't know what that is. That's still
I
if
don't
they're
know
alive.
either.
Yeah.
But
But yes, we are. Oh, and then Maxine is outside still, and she sees the old lady.
yeah, we see
Hmm.
Pearl on the porch. We never explicitly get Pearl's name in this movie, do we?
Not until I think towards the end, whenever Howard says
Yeah.
it at a certain point. Yes, but no,
I
they don't know
just
it at this point. No, and she
I just
doesn't like. She
know
doesn't introduce herself.
yeah, no, she doesn't.
No.
And so I just at first I was calling her old lady, but then I know that Pearl comes next and it was her origin story.
Uh huh.
So I just
Assume
call
that
her
this was
Pearl.
Pearl. Yeah.
Yeah. But Pearl gestures to her and is like basically like come over here and she follows for some reason.
Hmm.
Um but Maxine goes into the main house and she goes right in, also reminding me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre whenever what was it, Mike? Was that his name?
Yes.
Just walks right into the house
And they
after
have like
knocking
they're
like
just
twice.
no, yeah, they're just like whatever.
No
But
regard.
it's the
They just
70s, right? I feel like it's
yeah.
different times. I feel like that was probably like an okay thing back then, right?
Beyond me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, unlock doors and stuff and leaving the front porch screen open, that was for
Well, that's
sure.
why so many people were murdered back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because people and then they hitchhiked,
Yeah.
which is also bad. Um, but doesn't that made it seem like I was victim shaming them. It's not their fault that they got murdered. But let's just not hitchhike, y'all.
Yeah.
Um,
Dangerous both
but
ways.
yeah. And so then she's back in there. She kind of walks in. The kitchen is a mess that you can hear like flies buzzing around and stuff.
Things are rancid.
Yeah, the sink is like overflowing with dishes and
It's definitely
food is on
giving
the dishes.
um episode of Hoarders. And also the house from Texas
Texas
Chainsaw
Chainsaw
Massacre
Massacre.
with all the
Yeah,
fucking bones everywhere.
yeah, is
Hmm.
pretty nasty. And she offers her lemonade, which then starts. I really loved this, how it started overlapping with the porno.
Oh yeah.
Um,
About
and
the lemonade.
how, yeah, Bobby Lynn is offering Jackson.
Jackson.
Sorry,
Hmm.
I.
It's okay.
It's really hard whenever it's like such a well-known person to call them
Uh-huh.
by. It's like
Their
when
character
Daniel
name.
Radcliffe is in something. Well, if Daniel
Oh, you wanna
Radcliffe
call
is
him a
in something, he's
Carrie.
always Harry.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I really loved how it started overlapping with a porno, and it just keeps kind of going back and forth in between the shots happening with Maxine and Pearl, and then what's happening between Bobby Lynn and Jackson. I thought that was
Uh-huh.
really, really neat. And
Yeah.
I liked the dichotomy and just like how different the film was, like how we were going from,
The
normal,
8.
like good cinema, like, modern
Yeah.
cinematic stuff to the 8 millimeter or whatever, eight
Mhm.
reel, whatever it
And
was.
like the funky music they were playing in the porno that really gave it that like bow chicka wow wow chicka wow
Yeah.
wow. And like it was very, the juxtaposition to then what's happening, of course, with and also why would she drink the
Anything
lemonade? And not
in
even
that
at that.
kitchen,
She like
gulped it.
like chug
I
that
think she was
hoe.
trying to get out of there. I think she was like,
Probably. I would have maybe
"Ooh."
like did the thing where I like put it on your lips, but and like make it look like your throat took a drink, but not actually take a drink, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
wanna drink anything from that kitchen.
It just
Um,
seems like if not anything dangerous, then just like a biohazard.
yeah, exactly.
But we are in there and then they're kind of having a little mid conversation. And then Pearl gets up and before Maxine can leave, she decides to kind of go into like, how she used to be a dancer and she used to be hot too, basically, and starts to put on the really weird, creepy vibes.
Yeah, because then she turns around to Maxine and she's like, "You got a special face." And then goes and she's like, "Look at it," and, like, makes her look in the mirror,
Hmm.
and then goes and touches her exposed side from underneath the overalls, and then
Yeah,
she goes, "Shh, it'll be our little secret,"
which
as
is so
Howard arrives
fucking
home.
weird. Yeah,
And
because she
Maxine
has
was
to.
like, "What?
What the
What
fuck?
do
Because
you
she has
mean?"
she has to. It's like Pearl is like already in her mind creating this whole relationship with Maxine right now at this point. Um,
Yeah,
and she, ushers her out because she's like, you got to go. And it's very obvious that she doesn't want Howard to know that Maxine was in there. And so she goes out through the side and sneaks out as Howard's going through the front door. And Maxine returns to the guest house where everyone else is at, and with Jackson, and it's time for her to basically do her scene. And she is in the barn now because she is the farmer's younger daughter, the sister of the girl that Bobby Lynn was playing earlier in the film. And yeah, we're getting more of those, bound chicka wow wow vibes, and
yeah, she does.
her
She did
in
some
the
more coke, and
overalls.
that was where we got
Oh
our
yeah. Mhm.
first line of "I will not accept a life I do not deserve." That's where
Mhm.
we got that line. Um, and it's so like how in broad daylight they were all just sneaking into the barn. I was like,
Yeah.
they could probably see y'all. Like, I
And
don't know if you're being secretive here.
then like they're having sex, it's loud, like I don't feel
So
like it's
loud.
yeah,
I
I
was
don't
like,
feel
oh my
like
God, y'all are
it's
going to get caught.
mhm.
But I love whenever they are in there, and yeah, she is in her little overalls with the bandana over her head, and he says, "Well, I was hoping your daddy could give me a ride," and she was like, "I could give you a ride," and then
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh,"
It's about
and
to
then
happen.
we flash to my
Pearl.
house, Pearl. There's
Mhm.
dolls everywhere, so
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, it's me,"
I think I
and I
literally
was
made
like,
that comment too.
is this gonna be me in the future?"
It's Caitlin's house. It is. You're gonna be Pearl.
Hopefully, I'm not gonna be
But
murdering people
no, no, no. You're not. You're just gonna be really old, but happy and having sex.
and having lots of sex.
Yes.
Good.
With your
Um,
dolls.
no. Um, but we got Pearl putting on blue eyeshadow, and I loved the old, like, eyeshadow palette that they had there. That was so cool.
Mhm.
It was really neat.
Yeah,
Cool
I
that
wonder if
they
they
found
found
that.
that for it or, like, made it.
Oh, did
And
you
just made
notice
it
the
look
old Lone
vintage.
Star cans that they had too?
No, I didn't.
At the beginning, they grabbed Lone Star beer. I'm pretty sure it was Lone Star,
Yeah,
and since they're in Texas, and
that makes sense,
it
yeah.
was like old school cans, and I was like,
Well,
I wonder if Lone Star, like, made them specifically for them, or if they, like,
with
made
some strings or if they found them or
yeah, what
I don't
happened, I
know.
don't know. Or just,
I'm sure you could
looked up
find.
what they used to look like and then just made like, printed it out and shit, and put it
I
on
don't know
some
if you could
cans.
do that, though. I think you would have to, like, buy it or
Yeah,
something
copyright
because
issues.
mhm, exactly. I don't know.
Maybe
I
it
don't know
said
about any of that.
Lobestar.
Lobestar. Porn
Lobestar.
star.
Porn star on the beer. Yeah,
Yeah.
but, Pearl's putting on her blue eyeshadow
Brushing her
and
hair.
brushing her hair, yeah, and
She's
then
dolling
we
herself up.
see yeah, she is, and then we get this first person POV shot of someone walking towards the barn, and I was like, "Ooh, someone's about to find them,"
Mhm.
because again, Maxine's moaning real loud,
Yeah.
and
Going at
then
it.
she is, and then we get a shot of the window behind, and we can see Pearl is watching through the window.
Yeah.
And
She's
then we
watching.
get a very this reminded me of Midsummer almost.
Oh, okay.
The I think because of in that sex scene where there's all those women surrounding,
Uh-huh.
and then they're, like, all moaning together with them, and
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
this, like and just how, like, black everything was in that room, but, like, how vivid the colors of their skin were
Yeah.
and stuff,
Mhm.
just like the saturation of color and stuff. Whenever it flashed to Pearl on screen, her basically turning into Maxine,
Yeah.
it was it was honestly really pretty
Uh-huh.
in
It's
my
like poignant.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice. But yeah, we get
A
Pearl
scene
turning
of
into Maxine and
riding
her
dick.
riding some dick.
Yeah. And she's obviously kind of fantasizing or wishing that this was her, and living vicariously through Maxine.
Yes.
And at this point, I believe after all of that's happening, um, is this whenever we cut to them hanging out in like the commons area? It's like
We
turning the night.
almost.
Oh, no, 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 my bad, my
We
bad.
have
Yeah, Pearl tries to put on the
Pearl
moves.
trying to seduce Howard,
Yeah, and
but
he's like,
her
"No."
Howard saying, "My heart can't take it."
Yeah,
Um, and then
poor guy.
yeah, and she's just like, cause she starts like kind of dancing and pulling up her
Yeah.
dress a bit and stuff, and I was like, "Oh shit, are we really watching this right now?" And then yeah,
Don't worry, we'll get
he
it.
was like, I can't do that. My heart can't take it." And I
Alright.
was like, "Damn, I didn't even think about like your heart being able to keep up with sex and stuff. That's cardio."
Yeah, that's
You don't think
wild.
about these things when you're young.
When you get old and then
I just figured it would be erectile dysfunction is what I thought he
yeah,
was gonna say, I can't get it up no more." That's
yeah,
what I figured he would say.
which sucks in itself, but yeah, just thinking about no sex at all because you might die because of, like, a heart attack, that's wild. That means you can't
It's so
even, like,
scary.
also, like you can't even, like but you can't even, like you can't do anything. You can't, like, do any work. You can't, like, walk up some steps because like, you might just,
Can't go on
you know
roller coasters.
mm-mm. That might be a good way to die if you were just like, "You know what, honey? Next Thursday, Six Flags, take me on a ride. I'm ready to die. Like, just take me
I'm
out.
ready.
I'm
Take me
ready.
out.
That's how I wanna
Just
go."
traumatize all the children on the
Literally.
roller coaster.
Gave
Ah,
out. We have then, I jumped ahead, but now we're, I believe, with the gang, and they're hanging out. It's nighttime, and they're
they're
kind
eating
of
some weird tube meat.
yeah,
It was
drinking
nasty.
beers and talking about the day essentially. Um, and is this when we get the song we start to hear
Landslide?
landslide? Yeah,
Yeah,
she
we get
starts
some
because they start
comments.
to toast. They like toast to whatever.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
get some comments and like, Bobby Lynn says, "Now I know why Wayne left his wife for you." Because I was
Mm,
thinking Wayne was a little bit older.
yeah.
Um, but and then Jackson says, "Me too." And Bobby Lynn was like, "Watch it."
Yeah.
Um, and then Maxine gets on to Lorraine for staring, basically, because earlier in the
She's
film
been
she
irked
had
by her the
said
whole
like,
time.
yeah, she was like, "I don't like the way she stares. It's rude." And so she basically is like, "Didn't your mama ever tell you not to stare? It's rude. Like you shouldn't be doing that."
Mhm.
And Lorraine asks if it's weird watching Maxine do it with someone else to Wayne, and he says basically, "Nah, it's not. It's the camera changes things." And they're all like, "One day we're gonna be too old to fuck," which we just saw.
Yeah.
And going on about that and like why it's worth it to live in the moment now while we can do these things and to explore your sexuality and stuff like that. And then they start toasting, yeah, to the perverts and stuff like that. And then they start singing Landslide. And this shot was cool because we had a bunch of those sliding shots still,
Mhm.
um, as it because we
She's
get
singing, and then we get,
Bobby Lynn singing, yeah.
and Pearl, kind of looking disappointed after essentially being, rejected by Howard,
Yeah,
which
taking off all
sucks
her
at any time.
makeup because she got all gussied up for him, and
Mhm.
then he wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah, so she's, and especially with the song, because it's kind of the lyrics are tying in with, the 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 themes of the movie, and life in general. And she is then after getting through the song, we cut to Lorraine being like, "I want to be a part of the movie."
Yeah,
Uh
she
huh.
says she wants to be in it. RJ is immediately like, "Absolutely not."
Mm.
And,
After being like, "What?"
yeah,
uh huh.
and then she's, like, saying how, it's they mentioned Psycho in this moment, which I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
yay, my
'Cause
fave."
he basically tries to be like, I can't change you can't be in the movie
Can't
because it's
change
already
the
the way it is,
plot.
I can't change it, and it won't work, and she brings up Psycho to be like, "But your favorite movies do that, and they work," and he's, like, basically trying to deflect because he obviously is not okay with her having sex with someone else,
Yeah,
which he could have just said that, but he chooses not to because it's hard to speak your feelings, I guess, um, and
especially
then
when you're a male
and put
in
in the
the
spot,
70s.
and it's, like, in the spot, and I'm sure that was the last thing he thought that she was probably gonna be like, "I wanna be in the movie," you know?
Yeah,
Um
because earlier I liked this part too,
Oh,
whenever he had said, "When did you become such a prude to her?" And then she uses his own words back on him, and
yeah,
she's like, "When did you become such a prude?" And I was
pretty
like,
good
"Hell
moment.
yes, girl, tell him.
Live your truth.
Tell him."
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, he walks out because he's, like, very, like, not about it, and Wayne goes after to talk to him, and this is where it kinda gets awkward between Wayne and RJ because RJ puts his like he basically insinuates that Lorraine is better than Maxine and Bobby Lynn, and obviously, Wayne is like, okay, like takes offense to it because when he's with Maxine, and then he's just like, because RJ says, Lorraine's a nice girl. She's not like one of those other girls, and then he's like, ain't none of them nice girls.
Ain't none
Um,
of them nice girls.
hmm
But ain't none of
and
them nice girls. I really like the way they talked stylistically
uh
in this
huh.
film.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
the actual
The jargon.
screenplay that was
Hmm.
written and stuff, and I don't know if they took any liberties on it, but, I really, really enjoyed it. It did a really good job of setting the scene.
Hmm. Um, and we have um basically the scene happens. Like there wasn't he's just kind of like he's not okay with it, but he ends up agreeing to
But he
filming the
shuts up
scene.
and holds the camera.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
essentially.
walk back in, they're doing Lorraine up, she takes off Jesus. She had a Jesus
Hmm.
cross on her necklace, and she
As one
takes that off,
should.
and, then they're filming it, and,
Her Sunday
basically
underwear.
yeah, and I thought that was cute. I was like, "How fitting for her,
Yeah.
to be in her little Sunday underwear." Um, and I had stuff like that growing up,
Uh-huh.
like
With the dates on it.
yeah, but now and then
Ah.
I've seen some really cute packages, like, from Parade
Mm-hmm.
recently, which is where I like to buy all my
Mm-hmm.
undergarments
Okay.
from. And they have some, like, days of the week ones, but I'm like, "But I
That's
would
cute.
never remember to wear them on the right day."
I just It just seems like a lot. It would get mixed
Also,
up at a certain point,
you
and then you'd be wearing laundry, yeah, and then you'd be wearing, like, Tuesday
gotta
on
do
Thursday, and then
laundry every
uh-huh.
week and stuff.
Yeah.
That's too much. But anyways, they are start filming it, and basically you don't see any actual sex happen between them,
No.
but we flash to a harsh cut of Pearl waking up.
Yeah.
Um, and then we're with RJ in the shower crying,
He is having
and
a
I thought we
moment.
were gonna he was. I was like, "Boy, get yourself together." Like, in my
It's
head, I was like, "It's not that big a deal," but it is a big
and
deal. Like, if I had to
and
watch my partner have sex with somebody else and I wasn't, like,
okay with it.
previously okay with it,
Yeah.
yeah, I would be like, "That really hurt." Like, if all of a sudden if Andrew was like, "I wanna have sex with other people," I would be I'd be hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'd
feel
be
you.
like, "Oh, damn.
Mhm.
RIP." Yeah, don't want that.
That's why you
Um,
have to agree upon stuff and talk about those things. before you
Have
get to that
healthy
situation.
communication. Yeah.
Literally. But
Um,
yes, and
I thought we were gonna get a Psycho scene here
oh yeah.
because
Oh, that
they
yeah,
mentioned
that makes
Psycho
sense.
earlier,
Yeah, and
and
it's one of his favorite movies.
yeah, so I really thought that we were gonna have Pearl since we saw her woke up and I knew that she was gonna be the one killing everyone.
Yeah,
Um, I really thought he was gonna get stabbed through the shower curtain, but it was a good
kind of
they
fake
teased
out.
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
fake out. It was horror edging. Um,
horror edging, a new term by
yep,
Caitlin Klein.
they did that.
Yeah, you know what? And I didn't even pick up on that, but I'm sure that was probably something that he thought of because the movie is so like so many smart parts of it, that are thoughtful. So I'm sure that was probably
Yeah,
something that was thought of him being in the shower. But yeah, like he is just handling it very not good, and then he tries to leave
yeah.
because he's just like, I'm over it, I'm leaving y'all, screw y'all, and tries to get into the van, but he cannot leave because Miss Pearl decides to block the driveway. And they have quite the interaction together.
They do. Yeah. RJ gets out of the van and is like, "Hey, ma'am, are you okay? Like, what's going on?" And then Pearl just starts basically forcing herself on him, starts
Yeah.
caressing him, like, starts
Sexual
grabbing
harassment.
his butt. And then she's like, "I can please you," kind of, or something like that. She says something
Yes.
along the lines of, like, "Yeah, I could show you what I can do," or something. And he was like, "No, I don't want to see that."
He was like, literally, he was like, no, please, I do not put it away.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go find your husband.
Yeah, and she does not take that rejection well, and she
No.
just stabs him in the throat, which I thought she had an axe behind because we saw that axe at the beginning that
Yeah.
was by the door, so I thought she was gonna kill everyone with an axe,
Hmm.
um, but she had a little
That would have been cool.
yeah, a little knife behind that would have been a lot harder for her to hide, but clearly she was hiding something behind her
Well,
back,
and well, she's a lot older. I don't think that she is
capable of
capable of
wielding.
wielding an axe in the force, as we see later on with the fucking shotgun.
Yeah, that just
Yeah,
sends her flying.
for real.
But yeah, she stabs him in the throat and then she just starts stabbing the shit out of him.
Oh, so much.
She goes ham. And
Hmm.
I absolutely loved how the blood made the light turn red. How
Oh
the
yeah, that
blood,
was
like
really
all of
cool.
the blood spattering on
Would that
the
happen in real life,
headlights with how
or is
much,
that
I
just
mean,
movie? Like, you know what I mean? I
with
don't
how
know.
close they were to the light, I imagine she was stabbing him pretty intensely. So I don't know if it would get as blood covered as it did.
No, but
Um,
even like if you were to, I guess that makes sense. Yes, I just don't. I feel like it makes sense if you were to put like a red film, right, over a light and it produces red
mm,
light. But I just
yeah,
would think that blood in itself is so thick that it would just be black. Like it wouldn't, it would just darken it
black it
out.
out.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. But,
I
but, but, but,
think
but,
I think it's
that
thin
means we have
enough.
to try.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I think it's thin enough to where it would because
Be,
like
hmm,
especially whenever it's getting like spattered up like that and not like pouring over it.
yeah.
I don't know. I cut my finger open the other day and the blood, like
Oh.
as it transferred to other parts of my hand, it like was really thin and I could
Oh,
see
okay.
like, it kind
Your
of
blood cells dancing.
it spread out on my hand and
Hmm.
became thin. Maybe my blood's thin though, who knows.
Mm.
Nah, I stopped the bleeding pretty fast. I think it was okay.
Mm.
But
Food for thought. Um, but
but
I
it was a
agree with
really
you, it's
cool
a really cool
shot,
scene, yes,
like
and
how it
especially
happened.
because then, like, she's got the red light beaming, and she decides to have this moment that we said earlier that you felt was like a psychotic breakdown of her, doing her dancing, and I feel very much like in her mind returning to her younger self and what she used to do,
Yeah.
and is really having, like, this, like, big rush of dopamine, honestly, a dopamine hit after she's on this high after killing him, and I guess
I
um
almost was
I
unsure
thought she I
if
thought she was
she
gonna like rape him. Oh,
I thought
SA.
she
My bad.
was too. I
Yeah.
was thinking that maybe she came.
She might have, and maybe it didn't even take full penetration or anything. Like it was just like
Motion
the
of
vibes, the motion of the
yeah,
ocean.
dry humping and
Yeah.
stabbing him at the same time. Yeah. I thought that maybe it gave her a certain release.
Yeah.
Um,
And release she did. Released all of it. All
she
of his
did.
blood by that. And yeah, he is decapitated by how much she stabbed him as well.
Oh,
If we
really?
didn't
He was?
mention. Yeah, so that's
Oh,
how she stabbed him so much that he's just decapitated.
decapitated. Damn.
That's a word.
Decapitated.
Leonardo decapitated. Decapitated,
Decapito.
decapitated, a DiCaprio. But we have Jenna waking up because at this moment, she realizes that her boo thing is not next to her in bed, and she's like, "Oh shit!" And she's worried, obviously, because she's like, she's uh, obviously because of what had transpired. And I think even when Wayne is up and is like talking to her, which also like him in those tidy whities,
Like
like
Speedo.
I was like, God damn, like he looks so good. Like how many hours do you have to put in to look that good? Like, but anyways, um, I think she's even like, does she mention she's like, oh, do you think like he left because of what happened? And I'm just like, yeah, of course
Yeah,
he left
bitch.
of because of
He
what
did.
happened. Like
Yeah.
what there's no other reason, literally. And so
He's like, I don't want to
And
break
Wayne is
up.
just yeah, and Wayne is just like, oh hell, like kind of like he doesn't want to get mixed into the drama, which I think he even says. But then he's like, okay, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
he's
help you
like,
look.
fine, I'll help you look for him, but I'm not getting mixed up in any more of this drama, is what he said.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and they're out looking for RJ, and Lorraine's passing the main house when Howard comes out.
Yeah.
And he's like, have you seen my wife? And she's like, what? No, I'm looking for RJ, basically. And then they're
Hmm.
like, okay, well, let's look together. But then we flash back to Wayne going into the barn,
Darn
and he's going around in there looking to see if RJ's hiding out with an animal or something.
animal.
Um, and whenever it panned in on that nail, I was like,
And you
oh
already know
god.
what's about to happen.
Yeah, I was like,
Very
ugh,
A Quiet Place
yes. Oh,
and
yeah, that's
all
right.
other movies, but yeah, like I was, ooh, and
Speaking of which, we have covered
I
all of these films that we've mentioned.
please go listen to them. I do not ever. I wouldn't even wish that upon my worst enemy. Like I
I
hope I
stepped on a
never.
nail.
Oh, how does it feel? What is that
It's not
pain like?
pleasant.
Like, is it like
I had to
okay?
get a tetanus shot.
Okay, but like upon entry, like do you feel every inch of it kind of go in, like every centimeter? And then like when it's in there, does it like and then you immediately pull it out and then like is it throbbing? Like what is the pain like?
Yeah, I
And
think I
is
remember
it
throbbing. I was pretty young,
oh
so
okay. I was like, is
I
it
have since
centralized
gotten rid of this memory of
or
how
it's
it
so
felt.
blocked, it's
Yeah.
repressed? Or is it yeah, I just have so many questions, but I hope I never have to feel that because it just seems like one of the worst type of pains probably to feel.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
stepping on a Lego amplified.
well, yeah,
Uh,
exactly, because your feet have there's so many nerves down there.
mhm.
Like like you said, you stub something wrong and it hurts really bad, you know? So, um,
Yeah.
we are
Speaking of
now
tetanus, I thought tetanus was have you seen like those trends of like quicksand? Like what's something that you thought was going to be a lot bigger issue when you grew up? Like
oh,
and tetanus is one of those things where I thought like tetanus and lockjaw were like an
the things that you
actual
would have to
thing
be
I had
afraid
to
of
be like
as an
super
adult?
worried about. Yeah, as an adult,
Oh, yeah.
but
Uh,
it's not as big of an issue because we have modern technology. Um and
oh,
like
I'll have to
tetanus
think about
shots and
that.
stuff. But yeah, and then quicksand was one of those ones where I also thought it was going to be a much larger issue,
Right.
but it wasn't.
Yeah, I think there are only certain areas, but I don't. That's funny. I haven't seen that challenge, so I've never thought of that. Of things that I thought would be. I mean, like the only thing that I can think of immediately is literally cursive. And I think we've
Yeah,
talked about that before, is they like really hyped it up when you were in like elementary. Like you gotta learn cursive because this is the only way that you will communicate like in
in
college and after
college,
as an
yeah.
adult. And then like ain't nobody use that shit.
Nope.
Yeah.
I write in half cursive. I write
Yeah,
in half cursive, half regular letters.
I
Just
feel
depends
you.
on what my hand feels like doing. But yeah, he steps on that nail. He mentions like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to get a tetanus
Ouchies.
shot or
Yeah.
something." And and then he hears something and he goes to investigate
Yeah.
and looks through a little peephole and I was like, "Oh
Very
no."
psycho. It's very
I could
psycho.
tell. Yeah. I could tell that it was what was going to happen. I was like, I was either expecting somebody to
Immediately.
be looking through there
Yeah.
or
On
he
the
was
other
gonna get
side.
stabbed in the eye. Yeah, like in Scary Movie
Ugh, it's so bad
and
because
in
he
Scream
gets
2, right?
as a Scream 2 stabbed in
In
the
the
eye.
movie theater, stabbed is it in the eye
He's
or
not
the ear?
he's in the ear.
Yeah,
Yeah, through the
and
wall.
then in Scary
Um
Movie, it was that dick into the ear.
oh, okay, I totally forgot about that. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Um and we have the is it a pitchfork? Is that what that's called?
Yes,
That
it
goes
is a
through the
pit.
there? Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't tell what it was until she walks around with it afterwards. Because
Uh-huh.
at first I was like, "I have no clue what in the hell just stabbed him in the eyeball," but something
Yeah.
stabbed him in the eye, and his
Yeah.
fucking eyeball fell out.
Mhm.
And then
Very
while
graphic.
like, right after it stabs him, it flashes back to Lorraine in the house with Howard, and he's asking her to go down into the cellar to get a light
Which
for
why would she even do this? But yes, she goes down into the cellar.
he guilt trips her. He's like, "My
Yeah.
wife is very, like, fragile, and she's, gets confused a lot, and I need to find her," and
But even
stuff like
then,
that.
like, it just can't I would even then, like, going into the basement, that's just that's just so scary.
It
It's
is.
bad
It is
it's
so
bad,
scary. And this
yeah,
is
movie
yet
etiquette.
another reason why not to trust old people. I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
growing up that I would think I would like this I would feel bad for old people and be like,
Oh,
"Oh, they're so sweet."
yeah.
Like, I just need to, you know, be nice to them. But no,
Yeah.
old people can be terrible people too. Like, just because 'cause you're old doesn't give you an automatic pass.
And I feel
And
like it's even worse if you're an old terrible person because that just means you've been terrible so long. You've been
so
terrible
long.
like you win in the terrible person game because you've been a terrible person for so long.
Yeah.
You've not seen the light or turned it around. Yeah. And so we have Jenna going into the cellar, and obviously she's all the way down there. And then this is whenever she does find the light, and she also finds a body being hung
Yes.
up naked. Yes.
And we flashed back to Wayne and his eye. We see that his eye fell out,
Yeah.
and then she walks around and she comes with the pitchfork and covers Wayne with hay. That part was kind of funny to
Oh, that
me.
was funny. Yeah,
How
very,
she was
very
just like,
nonchalantly, just covering with hay, like another day.
yeah. She kind of pokes him too, or stabs him with
I
the
think she
pitchfork.
stabs
I
him
think,
more times, yes, to
yeah.
make sure he's dead, dead.
And then just starts covering him with the hay, and I was like, okay, okay, that's one way to do
That's
it.
it. Mhm.
But then, yeah, Lorraine's in the cellar. She starts coming back up the stairs after she's found the light, and
Yes,
she realizes she's been locked in.
which
And
sucks.
then I thought this was RJ at first whenever she
Uh,
finds that
no, I
body.
agree with you, I thought so as well.
I was like a generic white guy.
Mhm.
But yeah,
But he
it
still had
was
his
not.
head.
Yeah, I didn't realize that RJ was decapitated.
Mhm.
So that I think maybe my TV brightness. A lot of this film was really dark,
That's very
and
true, especially
I
here
was
at these
watching it
scenes
in the
that happen at
day.
nighttime.
Yeah, and I was watching it during the day, and so I couldn't see my TV for a lot
Yeah.
of these scenes, and I was like, Pearl could be lurking in the background, and I have no clue right now.
That happens so
Um,
much in scary movies too, unfortunately, is that they film things in such a way where it's dark, which I mean, it's good. We like that. We like to,
yeah,
but
because you're supposed to
eh,
watch scary movies in the dark.
yeah.
That's
Um,
how you should watch
but
horror films.
but there are some movies too where even if you are in the dark, like they're so dark that it's just
So
hard to
dark. Yeah.
that make things out. But we are now with Howard's outside still looking for Pearl, and at this point he runs into Jackson, I believe.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also, sorry, just going back to to Lorraine finding that
hmm
body, the scream we got from her was iconic.
Oh yeah,
It was so
she's
good.
a really good
She was
scream queen.
scream queen. Yeah. I
hmm
was like, yes, yes, ma'am. That was real good. But
She's
yeah,
earned her title.
she has. But then we're back with Jackson, and he wakes up. He gets up. He's drinking milk straight from the carton out of this random fridge. Oh, they bought
hmm
stuff earlier, so it wasn't just random milk. Okay.
yeah,
But yeah, and this is where Howard starts walking up and he's like, "You okay, Pop?" And he's like, "My wife is missing." She gets confused, so Jackson's like, "I'll offer to find her." Like,
yeah,
once a Marine, always a Marine. And then
hmm
this is where I was like, "Holy shit, that is a horse penis between his legs."
yeah,
Like,
because we see like the outline of it.
it was just flopping around.
Uh huh.
I was like, "Jesus Christ."
Just letting it all hang out there, and Howard's just like looking at him.
Yeah.
um, and then we have
I honestly thought Jackson was gonna he was like, "Let me go get my" whatever he called it. Um, but I honestly thought Jackson was gonna just go out naked.
yeah, no, I thought so too, which I wouldn't have mind. But he ends up helping Howard and they go into the lakeish area because they're looking for Pearl. And at this point, um Jackson ends up looking at or walking and finding a car that is in the lakes, and it just already gives the impression that okay, something doesn't seem all that right here.
Yeah.
Because I think
And
Jackson is also a really smart guy and can like life experience and stuff can put two and two together.
yeah, definitely. And while
hmm
all this is happening, as we saw Jackson getting his clothes, we see
That's true.
somebody watching from down the hall. We get a first
hmm
person POV shot and we see someone walk into Maxine's room. And during this moment,
hmm
Maxine is sleeping and Pearl uncovers Maxine and then starts undressing herself, lays down next to her, and is like caressing Maxine and getting blood
Yeah,
all over her. Um,
pretty
and
creepy.
is like moaning on her.
And also,
And
how is Maxine's a really deep sleeper?
I know, I was like, girl, wake up,
hmm
please.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was a very disturbing scene to say the least of just having somebody who is not invited into your
yeah.
bed and
No
coming in that's
consent.
such a vulnerable state to be in. Uh, it was very scary.
And then we cut back to Jackson and Howard as they're searching. And this is where he like finds the car and stuff.
Yeah,
And then he ends up cutting back to trying to get with Howard, but then he can't find Howard. And so we see that there's a flashlight and he thinks that Howard is like in the lake. And I'm pretty sure Howard left it there because he was obviously trying to dupe him, like trick him into going there so he
probably,
could
yeah, get eaten
trap
by a
him.
crocodile
Yeah.
or alligator,
But since he didn't get
gator.
eaten by a crackagator, Howard comes out and is funny because Jackson had mentioned earlier how when he was in Vietnam, that he was tired of being shot at by farmers. And
Yeah,
then he
and
literally
then
gets like, and it happened so fast because
it did.
Jack,
I was like, "Oh shit, he's
yeah,
dead."
because Howard literally says like one sentence, and then Jackson's like trying to is just I don't even think Jackson says anything or has like two words, and then he's just like and gets blown away.
Yeah, and
hmm
Howard uses his own words against him as well in this moment, and he says, like, "Once a Marine, always a Marine." And
hmm
then he just, like, so quickly pulls up that gun and just
Oh
blows a
yeah,
hole
yeah, yeah.
through Jackson.
And I think at the same time, my bad. It was cutting to Lorraine, who is trying to break out of the Is that
Yeah,
where?
Lorraine
Yeah.
finds a tiny axe and
Yeah.
she starts breaking a hole
Through the door.
through the wall. The door, yeah,
Oh,
it's a
mhm,
door.
mhm.
And,
It's a big door,
um,
and it's one of those things. And we have now um, freaking Maxine waking up because Pearl's all over her, and now they're like face to face. I think at this point, and Pearl
yes,
like it takes a second for Pearl to like realize what's happening, but she's like, "Oh my god!" and lets out a really really good scream as well.
yes.
Um, and this is what wakes up Bobby Lynn.
Yeah, because Bobby Lynn had been sleeping away like a little baby.
Hmm.
And
Snug in a bug.
she snugs a bug in a rug. Um, but Maxine starts screaming. We just see Pearl like scurrying out of there.
Oh yeah,
Bobby
like really
Lynn is like,
quickly.
"What the
What
fuck?"
the
Because it's
fuck?
just a naked Pearl happening there, and she walks into Maxine's room, and Maxine is like,
She was touching all over me.
yeah, exactly. And then at this moment, we also flash back to Lorraine unlocking the door. But right as she's going to, fucking Howard comes up and just, I don't know, was he hitting her with the butt of the rifle?
Yes, it was the butt of the rifle.
Yeah. And it like her bone was sticking out
Oh
of her
yeah,
finger.
it like
It,
definitely broke her finger in half on one of them and like smashed the other three to like
yeah,
probable like nerve damage.
yeah, it looked
Hmm.
nasty.
Yeah.
And he just tells her to be quiet. I thought at first he was maybe
Gonna
trying to
shoot her.
protect her from Pearl.
Oh, okay, got it.
I thought maybe that was why he had locked her in there.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't realize he would be so in on it until he shot Jackson, and then I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, yeah, no." Um, but then we flash back to Maxine doing some more coke,
Hmm.
and then Bobby out looking for Jackson, but instead of Jackson, she finds Pearl by the
At the
water.
lake, the dock. Uh huh.
Yeah,
And she's trying to basically just like Jackson be a good person, and she's trying to talk to Pearl, and she's like, oh, my nana gets confused sometimes too, like let me help you back to to the house. And she's like,
I even wanted to
I,
be a nurse.
yeah, so I could help people out. And immediately fucking Pearl is like, I don't need no damn nurse, you're a fucking whore.
Slaps her right in the face.
Yeah, and then Bobby Lynn, of course, I love Bobby
"What
Lynn.
have you
She's
ever
just
done
like,
except be a whore?" And I was like,
yeah.
"Damn,
And
ouch,
Bobby
girl."
Lynn is just like, well, fuck you, bitch. It's not my fault you didn't live the life you wanted, and uh, don't take it out on me, essentially. And unfortunately for Bobby Lynn, Miss Pearl decides to straight up eat her into the lake where there is a hungry, hungry what'd you call it? A crocodile?
Crocagator. Crocagator.
A crocagator.
Crocagator.
Yeah, and she is
Paladile.
literally death, death spun. They call it. It's called the death something. Death
Oh,
twirl.
yeah.
Death. She is literally. She's gone. She's
It gets her
bye
little
bye, Bobby
head,
Lynn. Yeah,
and she's just
yeah,
torn apart, torn to shreds. You can see the blood, even in the darkness, you can see the blood like penetrating the water and it just
yeah.
seeping out.
Not a great way to
Um,
go.
yeah. And then Howard comes up and he was like, "Was that the one?" And she goes, "You know, I don't like blondes."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Oh." So I was like, he's majorly in on this.
Oh yeah, he's
Um,
down to help his bae get what she wants.
yeah. And then we flash back to Maxine. She's basically looking for everyone, sees her Howard and Pearl approaching, and
Hmm.
goes to hide, which is smart.
Yeah,
And they walk into the house, and Maxine's basically saying she has something special, like I did. Um, and
Pearl
then
saying yeah
yeah, Pearl saying that that
about Maxine.
Maxine has something
Yes,
special. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
like I did. And then she says, "Tell me I'm special." And she she's like he's like, you know, I think you're special. Like, I've known from the first moment I met you, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And she's like, "But I'm not anymore." And he's like, "You'll always be the most beautiful woman I've ever seen," kind of thing.
Aw.
And I know, I was like, "This is oddly endearing for people who just murdered a bunch of people."
Yeah, minus the murder, that would have been a really cute love story.
Yeah, and then she says, "Tell me I'm yours," and she says, "Make me feel young again," and she uncovers her breasts and says, "Cup it."
Yep. Do it,
Yep,
baby. Give it to me.
and make me
Do it,
feel
baby.
young
Stick it, baby.
again.
Give it to me. Yeah, they start to make love on top of the bed,
And he's
and
like, "What
we
if my heart
then
can't take it?"
and she's like, "It can."
It can. I was like, I
She
honestly
is ready to risk it all. She don't
she
care.
was. She was
She
like,
don't care
"Howard,
if
you
he
can
lives or
fucking die
dies.
for all I care, as long as I get some. That's
Literally.
all that matters." But yeah, we see I honestly thought what was gonna happen. So we see Maxine under the bed
Yes.
as they're going at it, and I honestly thought Howard was gonna die of a heart attack and fall off, and, like, then Pearl was gonna see Maxine and
Oh,
be like,
yeah.
"Rah, rah,
Uh-huh.
rah, rah, rah," and get her,
Yeah.
but
Rawr, like a
that's
dog.
not what yeah. But that's not what happened.
No.
Um, I was picturing, like, taking of Deborah Logan and her, like,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
crawling at
I
her.
can see that. Yeah, very
Yeah.
demonic almost. Um, yeah, all of this fucking fuss and hype about him not being able to fucking fuck, and then him being fucking fine.
Yep. He fucked
Like,
her. She was yelling, "Fuck me, Howard."
yeah, that was so like in her old lady voice. Fuck me,
Mhm.
Howard. Oh God, yeah. And
More
yeah,
power to her. I'm glad they
yeah,
were
you're
able to
right.
get some.
Poor Maxine under there just kind of listening through it all, but she ends up like crawling, bear crawling her way out of
Shimmying
there.
out of there.
Yeah, all the way till she got to the door and then gets up and runs out of there, hauling ass as she tries to get to the van. But then she realizes that she can't leave because there's is it the keys or something about it?
They stabbed the tires.
They stab the tires. Yeah. I was
Yeah,
like,
that
there's a whole reason she
the
can't leave. Yeah.
the knife that she stabbed RJ with, she just went ahead and cut the tires as well while she
Yeah.
was at it. Left
Yeah.
it
Smart.
there.
Smart killer. And
Um,
then we have
we see RJ's body.
mm-hmm. And then Maxine going back into the house. Is it because she hears Lorraine screaming, or is it just
Mhm.
because yeah, she hears her screaming and
And
goes
she
back in
needs
there
the
just
keys
that's right. And
to
she
the
goes to get
truck.
Lorraine out of the bestseller, which she does. And then Lorraine is just like, this is all your fucking fault. um
Yeah, I was like, Maxine gets Lorraine, but she's being so irrational saying, "I hate you," and shit, and I was
yeah.
like, "Lorraine, like, calm down.
I
She
bet
just saved
you
your life."
yeah, and I feel like Lorraine probably this whole time was in there as everything's going on. Like this would be like a whole separate movie. Is she's like having a breakdown of like, oh my god, I just had sex in a porn film, and this is why I'm getting murdered. I'm a bad person, and all
It's
these
because
people
I
are
betrayed Jesus, took
yeah,
him off my neck.
all these people have influenced me. So she's blaming Maxine, and then she ends up running out. But and obviously Maxine is trying to be like, no, wait, don't go out there. But as soon as she steps like a foot out the door, she gets blasted into
Blown to
next Tuesday
smithereens.
by a
Yeah.
shotgun, yeah.
I was like, "Holy shit." I wasn't
Expecting
she
it,
just
yeah.
yeah, she was, like, in stride, and then it was just like, and I was like,
There's
"Oh
a
my
lot of quick
god."
deaths in this film, like, they're very
Yeah,
fast, yeah.
and, and then you can hear over because then Maxine hides, obviously, um, and, oh, we saw her grab the gun earlier from the
Yes,
she got the gun from the glove compartment,
yes.
but then we hear Pearl speaking over he was like, "Oh shit, I had her in the basement for you. I was trying to save her for you."
Yeah.
And she was like, "It's okay. We don't need her no more. We have each other again." And then they start dragging her body in and she is fucked up.
Yeah. She's mangled.
Reminded
I
me of
mean,
Harvey Dent.
really did one on her head, and,
They did.
poor thing is not even all the way dead yet because she lets one final, like, gasp of air, and this is what fucking startles Howard to death,
Yeah,
of all
gives
things.
makes him have a heart attack.
Of all the shit
So
that he's done,
yeah.
yeah.
And then
The
that just
murder, the
scares him.
sex. Anyways, yeah, he ends up dying, and then of course Pearl's just like, "Oh my god, Howard, Howard," Howard.
Yeah.
And then Maxine, I think this is whenever she pops out, right?
Yeah, Maxine comes around the corner and she's like, "Where are the fucking keys?" And she was like, "He's having a heart attack." And she's like, "I don't give a damn. Where are the fucking keys?"
It
And
is
I
so
was
fucking
like,
funny how Pearl is expecting like Maxine to give a shit about like what's
"Yeah."
happening to Howard.
And then Pearl starts being like, "You'll end up just like me. You're just a deviant little whore." And she goes, "I'm a star. The whole
Yeah.
world's gonna know my name." And then she says, "I will not accept a life I do not deserve." And oh, I guess she went and got the keys at this point too,
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
before she said all that.
And then she tries to shoot at Pearl, but the gun was
Gun
not
isn't
loaded.
loaded.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we have Pearl taking this chance to grab the shotgun and try to blast Miss Maxine, but to no avail because whenever she tries to shoot it, the kickback from the fucking shotgun is so like too strong for Pearl. It like sends her flying
Pearl's
all the way
frail little
back.
body.
And
Yeah,
it's so
like
funny.
6 feet. Like she
Yeah.
went flying off the porch. And then thankfully, I guess because of it, the gun fire went slightly up and Maxine dodged right at the right time too, that
Yeah.
she thankfully wasn't shot.
She literally
And
dodged a
then
bullet.
I love how we have the evangelicals coming in here and he goes, "Now that's what I call divine intervention."
Hmm.
I was like, that's good. They lined up the evangelical like
Doing that. Yeah.
sermon
With
really
that
well
line.
throughout
Yeah.
this whole ending scene. They do
Yeah.
a good job of it. Um, but then she goes outside and Pearl's like, "My hip."
My
And
head, please
and
help
she's like,
me.
"No." And then she
Yeah.
just tells Pearl to shh.
Yeah.
And then
And
she yells at her, "It'll all be taken from you just like it was from me."
then we get a scene that I feel like you loved, where Pearl's
Yeah, it
head
was
gets
so
smushy
nasty.
smushed by the tires of the
It was like
car
a
that
pumpkin
hmm
just getting smashed.
I
Ugh.
loved it. It was so cool.
Backs over her head, and it was just like,
Hmm.
"Bloop." And then
Yeah.
I love how she goes, "It'll be our little secret." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yes, bitch. That is good." And the
Very
soundtrack this
good. Full
whole time
circle.
throughout the whole movie was really good, but especially in this moment. I also really enjoyed the song that played when, Pearl was dancing over RJ's body.
Oh yeah.
It was, like, French or
Yeah.
something, or it started with, like, a wee wee.
Probably a
And
song that she danced to like back in the day, like in the
yeah,
20s or whatever.
um,
Pearl
backs
is
over
dead.
her head, Pearl's dead. It'll be our little secret. And
Then we cut then we cut to after all that was happening and Maxine drives off, we have our coppers and the whole scene that we started with at the beginning of the film taking place again.
oh,
And
wait.
what?
She does some more coke and she says, "Praise the fucking Lord." And then on the television set, it says
Oh, that she was the daughter.
the daughter. Yeah.
I for some
So
reason
she was,
thought that that was playing at the same time when the cops come back at the beginning. But yes, yeah.
oh, I think
Um
maybe they are looking on the screen. The cops do come back in. Yeah, I think you're
I
right.
think it's playing as they're like kind of walking out of the building kind of situation, walking out of the house because it's when they
Yeah.
walk out and then we see it on the screen and then she was his daughter because he's like my daughter left with you know these deviants or whatever and yeah so everything that he is preaching and kind of how like she was spewing the same lines. It's funny how like she is repurposed those and like reuse them for herself, like especially
Yeah.
with the like I will not accept a life I do not deserve. And then we have the cops, like one of the other sheriffs being like, hey, like look, we found a camera footage, like what do you think's on it? And I love how he was like, what did he say? Did you write it down?
Yeah,
um
he said, "I'd say one goddamn fucked up horror picture."
yeah,
And then it
which is
just
pretty
goes
funny.
X. Yeah.
X. I
It
liked it.
was
It's pretty good
it was
ending.
really good. I like
Very
that ending a
meta.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really good. I liked the delivery of it, and then I liked the big flash to just X with the red and the
Mhm.
black and everything. It looked really solid. I enjoyed it
Mhm.
a lot.
I liked it too. I
and that's 2022 X.
X by Ty West. Um, Getting into the boo ratings. Honestly, I would give it like, ah man, like I'm gonna talk about what I like about it, and then I'll give my rating. So I really liked how you said at the beginning, more kind of the beginning half of the film, how there were a lot of stylistic transition shots.
Mm.
I thought those
Mhm.
are really cool, and like the swiping, and how like we had a lot of really specific choices on like the lighting and the tone and the vibrancy, so it all made it feel and gave it that old time kind of vibe. I never felt like I was in um so there's sometimes where like you can kind of get taken out of the moment in movies, and I felt like the whole time they kept us there in 1979. And
Mhm.
I really thought that it was also a really cool and, I mean, original story. Because like, when's the last time you've seen two old people killing people because they're horny? Like, it just kind of it's wacky too, like, when you think about
Yeah.
it, and, like, it's such a kind of kooky film, really, like, okay, people are out trying to film a porn, and then they end up getting murdered, but then it's kinda like, and that even in itself, there's so many, elements of, like, horror tropes in itself where it's like, well, then that plays on, like, how, like, in horror movies, you're not supposed to have sex because then you die. Um,
Yeah.
and I even liked how I kind of like how it's even like a scream moment with like Drew Barrymore in the first one, and how you think she's gonna be the main girl with like Jenna Ortega kind of filling that position here, and then she's not the main girl, and then even being surprised, like even when I first watched this movie, I thought that Jenna would even survive, like, throughout it, like, so there would be, like, I guess 2 final girls or somehow, I don't know, but then her dying was really shocking, and I thought that was a really, um, kind of, I mean, granted, I guess back then she wasn't as popular as she is now, but I thought it was just a really cool choice, and
Yeah.
I thought that, um everything kinda seemed pretty realistic, along the lines of the characters and the acting, and everybody brought their A game. I thought, especially after, like, and knowing that Mia Goth played both Pearl and her character, and the amount of work and effort that it took to go into it. Apparently, she would wake up at, like, 3 a.m. to get into, like, prosthetics and stuff,
Oh,
and
geez.
then, like, literally start the day at, like, 8 a.m., and then literally shoot all day, and then do the same thing again the next day kinda situations. And so, it's just really awesome to see people, so committed to the craft of acting and giving us a good story.
Yeah.
Um, and because that plays to the duality and, like, the parallels, the the way that Pearl herself is feeling about Maxine, and how she sees a lot of her younger self in Maxine, and is basically like, it almost seems like she sees Maxine and is like, this is a do over, like I get to redo and get to live through her almost situation.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
and uh, yeah, overall, you know what? It's a four. It's a 4.4.
4.4.
That's a 4.4. Yeah.
I
Hated it.
no, I loved it.
Mhm.
I
Yeah. I even,
uh
you know what, I'm sorry not to cut you off, let me just add one more thing. I even liked how kind of even at times it made me feel uncomfortable, like
mhm.
it made me think, like, it makes you think, especially because then it's like, at first you're kinda, like, weirded out, like, kinda by, like, the old people sex scene, but then you think about it and you're like, "You know what? No, I shouldn't be weirded out by that because, like, when I'm old, I hope I'm having sex." Like, and then,
Yeah.
like, everybody deserves to have sex, so it's just kinda like, it's weird how it also makes you think of, like, where does it become, like, where we think of, like, how like they're having hot young sex and that looks all sexy and ooh lustful and stuff, but then like when it's the old people, it's like it's not as appealing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just makes you think. Anyways, go ahead.
Um I really I really, really enjoyed this film. I wasn't looking forward to watching it just because of how busy I was with stuff. I was like, do I really?
It's like another thing on your list. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, but then once it started, I was like, no, this is really good. And I'm very glad I watched it. And I do want to watch it again without having to take notes.
Yeah.
Um,
Just get to enjoy
but
it. Enjoy
it,
it.
I thought it was, for lack of better words, like a cinematic masterpiece. It was really, really good, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, I thought everything from the acting, from everyone, was incredible. I thought just the overall shots and cinematography and just the way they captured everything was really beautiful. It
Mhm.
it was just a very, like, beautiful movie. And then again, like you said, I did like how it made me uncomfortable, and it was honestly, it toyed with some very terrifying ideas, and it is
Mhm.
original. There isn't really a whole lot of films out there that
Name one.
involve.
I can't.
I can think of a Supernatural episode where the people were
Ah,
pagan, like,
yeah.
cultist people, and they were old people killing young people.
I just thought of The Visit. Remember The Visit?
Oh,
M. Night Shyamalan. The old people. Have you seen that one?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's not that great, but old people are like basically the culprits. But okay, continue.
Ah, well, there we go. But still, it is, I feel like, a pretty original idea.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it I feel like you said most of the things that I agree with you pretty wholeheartedly on everything that you said. Um, I think, just overall, it was a very solid movie. I'm tempted to give it a 5. I really enjoyed
yeah.
it.
Do it.
Maybe I'll give it a 4.75. No, I'm
Eh,
gonna give it a 5. I liked it.
Give it a
There
five.
was I don't really have any qualms with this film.
You know
I
what? I'm
thought
gonna bump my rating up to a 5 too.
okay.
You convinced me.
It's it was just a really awesome movie. I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sad that it's taken me this long to watch it. Because I know that you've recommended it to me before,
In the past,
and
yeah.
so is Mike, and, Pearl as well. So I'm very excited to watch Pearl, and basically anything that comes out of A24 is amazing. Um,
We are
so
stands.
whenever I saw the A24 sign, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good." Um, it's probably one of my favorite production companies. Um, but yeah, I think it's a 5 from me. I have some fun facts.
Fun fact me.
They're really long fun facts.
Okay.
Let's see. The day after X's South by Southwest premiere, writer director Ty West revealed that during a mandatory 2-week COVID-19 quarantine in his New Zealand hotel before production could begin on this film, he wrote a prequel, Pearl. A24 saw the script and greenlit the movie even before production on X had wrapped. He asked star
That's
Mia Goth
awesome.
if she wished to remain in New Zealand and film Pearl, and she readily accepted. The prequel released later in 2022. So yeah, I didn't realize Mia Goth plays Pearl
Mhm.
in Pearl.
Even in Pearl. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did recognize her whenever because I watched the trailer for it
Mhm.
recently. But the title of the film refers to the X rating used by the MPAA from 1968 to 1990, which indicated that a film was only suitable for an audience age 16 or older, which is 16
Wow.
or older. What?
Yeah.
Um, the idea behind that rating was that, unlike the other certificates, X would not be trademarked and would allow filmmakers to release their film in theaters without needing to submit it to the MPAA for age certificate. Notable films that were originally released with an X rating include A Clockwork Orange, which I can never sit
Yeah.
through. mainly just because it starts out with such a horrific SA
See,
scene
uh-huh.
that I it triggers
It's
shit, so
triggering.
I can't watch it. Um, so that doesn't surprise me that
I've
it
actually
was
never seen
released.
it. So,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
it's
I know
pretty
what movie it
brutal.
is though. Yeah.
Yeah. Fritz the Cat, Last Tango in Paris, Midnight Cowboy, and Sweet Sweetbacks. Badass song. Um, it has like 4 or 5 S's.
Oh, okay.
Um, in the 70s, the porn industry would end up exploiting the X ratings lack of a trademark by releasing pornos in theaters with the same rating. Eventually, X became more associated with porn, and more theaters started refusing to show films with an X rating, forcing non pornographic films to be censored to receive an R rating. And in 1990, the MPAA discontinued the X rating and replaced it with the NC 17. Unlike
Uh-huh.
X, NC 17 was trademarked and could not be self applied, but it still meant that most theaters would not show films with the rating, resulting in censorship once again.
Yeah. They don't want people to see people doing it,
Yep, that's
even though
true.
everybody's doing it in their homes
Every day.
and in the streets.
Yep,
Everywhere.
that's
Literally
everywhere.
everywhere.
People just
Um
doing it.
yeah.
Um, there's an adult film called The Farmer's Daughter,
Cool.
which is infamous because it starred future acclaimed mainstream writer and actor Spalding Gray. It's from
Who's that?
1976.
Spalding Gray?
Yes.
Do you know who that is?
Um, no.
Is that oh, hold up. Let me see. I found it. Huh. He's an American actor and novelist. He's died in 2004
Oh,
though.
he was in The Nanny.
Oh, okay. Who was he in The Nanny? With Fran
I don't
Drescher?
know.
Huh.
I've got 2 more fun facts.
Okay,
In
cool.
an interview, Brittany Snow talked about filming the nude scenes, and she said, I think there was a lot of confidence in terms of our characters, and a part of the nudity came from that confidence that our characters exuded. It almost felt necessary because not only were we filming a porn, but our characters would have been so comfortable with that. Snow said the film was an exercise in me feeling confident about my body, and she said I was pretty proud of myself. I can hear her saying those exact words.
I can hear her say that. And honestly, I mean, why wouldn't she be proud of her body? Because her body looks
Yeah,
really great.
it was really good. And then last but not least, the name of the gas station and mini mart at the beginning of the film is a direct reference to Ty West's movie The Innkeepers, which was set at
Mhm.
the Yankee Peddler Inn, which I don't remember what the name of the
Yeah, I don't either.
thing was, but I'm assuming maybe it had um
Something to do with that.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. Fun facts. The more you know.
the more you know.
Cute. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's 2022's X. I
X.
almost said Pearl.
We'll be doing that next.
That's next week. So if
Mhm.
you've got any thoughts on that, reach out to us.
Please let us know. Please, yeah, send us your boo ratings.
We love to hear them.
Hmm.
But we are being brought to you by the lovely Rogue Media Network Studios, and they always take great care of us. And we're working out the kinks and getting everything set up with this new way of recording. And hopefully the audio is a little bit better than our first one.
Hmm.
We're getting there. We're trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
But if you want to listen to us, you can do so, and or any of the other great podcasts, you can do so on their website, which is.
Roadmedianetwork.com.
And then if you want to listen to us or any of those other amazing podcasts, you can do so on a slew of podcasting platforms, but the biggest two would be,
Apple.
and also Spotify. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to.
Rate, review, excuse me, rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that's the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then if you want to let us know your thoughts on X or Pearl and reach out to us, or just if you want to give us a movie that you think we should cover, we're still always taking listener requests.
Hmm.
So please reach out to us on Instagram, and that is
At Boobays Podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your boo bays, not your boo babes.
that's right. And until next time, you guys, we'll be covering Pearl next, and that'll be it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And
Yeah, I'm excited to
until
watch it too.
yeah, uh, maybe I'll get to do it tonight. Until then, bye, bays.
Bye, bays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.